It remains a mystery for sure what happened to Freddie Gray, but here's what we do know. Freddie Gray is dead. He died in police custody in Baltimore, and since then there have been protests and anger in the streets. Joining us right now, Andrew O'Connell. He is the attorney for Freddie Gray's family. He is an associate attorney with Murphy, Falcon, and Murphy out of Baltimore, and he joins us now. Thank you so much for joining us, Mr. O'Connell.
You're welcome. Glad to be with you.
So what do your clients believe happened to Freddie Gray that day to cause his death, and what evidence do they have to support their belief?
Well, right now the family has more questions than answers. We just don't know what happened. We are letting the process play out. We are hoping to get the statements that the officers made, or at least some of the officers made, sooner rather than later. But for right now, we don't know how exactly he was injured. We are waiting for the medical examiner's report that we hope will shed light on the nature of the injuries and so forth.
That's great, and I appreciate you saying that because I think that it would be great. I think most observers want answers, they want the facts, and they want the medical examiner's report out there so that we can make our judgments. My question, I guess, is with regard to your client, Freddie Gray's family, do they think that it's helping that so many people are leaping the media? I mean, CNN and MSNBC are there 24/7. We've got protests in the streets. Is that helping you get to the truth, or is that now becoming a distraction?
Well, I think that the national media attention does just that, brings attention to a very serious problem in Baltimore City and around the nation where we have police brutalizing citizens unnecessarily after unlawful stops and arrests, or at least questionable stops and arrests that are followed by takedowns and excessive uses of force to restrain individuals where they're hurt or killed in this instance.
You say you don't know what happened and you're waiting on the facts in the case, but you've just raised the specter of, questionable police stops, unlawful actions on the part of police acting brutally. Do you believe that is the case here in your particular case in Baltimore?
Sure, we know now that the police represented in their report that Mr. Gray was taken into custody without force or incident. Now that, we know from looking at the video, is untrue. It's an untrue statement. So right there you have a serious issue with this process and with the policing activity that's going on in Baltimore City.
In what ways do you think force was used? Explain to me exactly what you believe.
Sure. We've got an individual on the ground with multiple police officers piling on top of him while he screams in pain. Following that, you see Mr. Gray dragged like a rag doll to a waiting police van. And the police are raising the specter that the injury happened inside the van. We don't know that. They say something happened in that van, something happened in that vehicle. That suggests that was the locus of the injury or where the injury occurred. We don't know that. We need the medical examiner's report to shed light on exactly what the nature of the injury was. We see Mr. Gray screaming on the ground with more than one police officer on his back.
But he was also
doing nothing more than looking a police officer in the eye and running.
Well, he was suspected of selling drugs, was he not?
We don't know. You look at the circumstances.
And there was a struggle, was there not?
He was not breaking the law. He had no weapon in his hand, and he was not hurting anybody.
All right, but he was resisting arrest, was he not?
That was after the arrest event occurred. The question is, why were they arresting him? Why were they stopping this man to begin with?
Right.
He had done nothing wrong. He was a healthy 25-year-old man, Baltimore City citizen, who was doing nothing but going about his way.
So the family...
Felony running is not a crime in this country.
Yeah.
You can run away from the police. You're right to do so.
Did Mr. Gray have a past history of dealing drugs or any drug arrests in his?
We are looking at what happened on April 12th, and that's it. Anything that happened before that date is completely irrelevant.
All right. Well, but it is relevant in terms of understand. You just said we don't know why the police had confronted Mr. Gray that day. It's been what I've heard reported is that they were investigating him and questioning him with regard to dealing drugs.
What they put in their report, or what they reported, was that he looked him in the eye and ran. That's it. That's all we know. And if we know more, we would know more if the police would release the statements of the officers that were involved. We've got 6 officers.
On this we agree.
Less than 6 actually gave statements perhaps we would know more about what they were doing, why they believed they had probable cause or reasonable suspicion to stop Mr. Gray.
Let me ask you this, Mr. O'Connell, and our guest is Andrew O'Connell. He's the attorney for Freddie Gray's family. Freddie Gray, of course, the man who died in police custody in Baltimore. You're an attorney. You understand the legal justice system. Obviously, you're an officer of the court. If a police officer is, in fact, investigating an individual for suspected drug dealing or some other crime, and the person runs, what is a police officer to do?
The situation or the circumstances of this arrest is what we should be focused on. And this arrest involved absolutely no crime on our clients.
I understand that. And let me just clarify my question, because you raised a history of, I believe, as you put it, use of force by the police, and I think you may have even used the word brutality in Baltimore. So I guess I'm just trying to find out from where you stand with regard to what police are supposed to do in a situation. I'm not talking about specific to your client, but in a situation where they are investigating someone on the mean streets of Baltimore, where crime is a problem and drugs are a major problem, and a person that they're investigating or trying to investigate with regard to a potential crime runs from them, what should the police do?
The police should take into consideration the totality of the circumstances that their investigation unfolds. Was the individual, did he or she have a weapon in their hand? Was that individual causing harm to another individual? Was that individual suspected of actually committing a crime? There's more than one, and the list can go on. It is a totality of the circumstances. And you look at the circumstances of this case, there's absolutely no reason to lay a hand on Mr. Gray. None.
Well, none.
All he did was run away.
The none that has
and
been
running
made...
in Baltimore City can't be a crime. Running in Baltimore City or any other city in this nation can't be a crime.
You'll agree that there's no reason that we know of based on the information that's been put forward so far.
There's been no information, very little information put forward by the Baltimore City Police Department. They claim they're in the middle of their investigation. We have no confidence that investigation was going to be an honest and open and clear investigation, because police officers investigating themselves has an inherent bias towards themselves, which is exactly what they're in the process of doing now. Would we like to see the statements that the officers gave? Yes. We'd like to see them immediately. They were taken apparently on April 12th, the day of the arrest, and they are sitting there. They are not going to change or get better with age.
That's well put. And have you heard from the police department or from the city about when they plan on releasing that information to you, or are they waiting for more investigations?
At this point, they're still in the process of their investigation.
All right. Great. Andrew O'Connell, again, Mr. O'Connell is an attorney for Freddie Gray's family. His firm is Murphy, Falcon & Murphy, and I very much appreciate you joining us.